Have you ever noticed how a salary raise somehow feels like a new bill? Your apartment looks better, your phone is newer, your clothes improved, but your chest feels tighter. That's the trap. The middle class was never supposed to feel this anxious. And yet, millions of people now live inside invisible pressure they can't explain. A raise became a rent increase. The rent increase became monthly pressure. Pressure became dependence. Dependence became exhaustion. And exhaustion became identity. That's what nobody talks about. Modern life doesn't trap people all at once. It traps them one upgrade at a time. The terrifying part is, it never looks dangerous while it's happening. It looks successful. A nicer apartment, better furniture, food delivered instantly, subscriptions for everything, a car that feels like proof you're progressing, tiny comforts everywhere, tiny payments everywhere. Until one day, your entire life depends on uninterrupted income just to stay standing. And suddenly, you're no longer building a future, you're maintaining a system. Most people wake up already tired now. Before their eyes fully adjust to the morning light, the stress already begins. Notifications, emails, news alerts, banking apps, calendar reminders. Human attention became permanently occupied. Then comes the commute. Silent trains filled with exhausted faces glowing blue from phone screens, coffee cups, dead eyes, thousands of people rushing toward jobs they secretly fantasize about escaping from, entire cities moving like machines before sunrise. And maybe that's why modern adulthood feels so strange. People stopped living naturally. They started managing systems, bills, passwords, renewals, payments, deadlines, notifications. Every month feels like survival paperwork disguised as life, and because everyone around them is exhausted too, the exhaustion starts feeling normal. Burnout became ambition, stress became responsibility, anxiety became maturity. Society slowly convinced people that being mentally drained all the time is just what adulthood looks like. But it wasn't supposed to feel like this. This wasn't freedom anymore. It was subscription-based survival. And the system loves that version of humanity, because exhausted people are easier to control, easier to market to, easier to emotionally manipulate. A peaceful person is actually terrible for business, because peaceful people don't constantly need distraction. They don't endlessly chase validation. They don't buy things trying to repair emotional emptiness. But stressed people do. Lonely people do. Insecure people do. That's why modern capitalism stopped selling products. Now it sells emotional identities. Buy this and become attractive. Wear this and become respected. Own this and become important. Everything became psychological. Even luxury itself changed. It's no longer about usefulness. It's about emotional signaling, about proving something silently every time you enter a room. And social media turned this into a full-time psychological war. For most of human history, comparison stayed local. You compared yourself to neighbours, friends, co-workers. Now people compare their real lives to millions of curated performances every single day. Someone else's vacation, someone else's relationship, someone else's luxury apartment, someone else announcing success online while you sit in traffic, wondering why your own life still feels emotionally heavy despite working constantly. Every scroll whispers the same thing. You are behind. Behind financially, behind physically, behind socially, behind professionally. And fear of falling behind became one of the most profitable emotions on earth. Because insecurity creates consumption. Think about your last unnecessary purchase. Did you actually want it? Or were you just tired? That's the question nobody asks anymore. People think spending is logical. Most of the time, it's emotional. A stressful day creates anxiety. Anxiety creates craving. Craving creates spending. Spending creates temporary dopamine. Dopamine fades. Stress returns. Repeat forever. The system doesn't just want your money. It wants your peace of mind. Because emotionally unstable people become predictable consumers. And slowly, consumption stopped being entertainment. It became emotional regulation. Food delivery after burnout, online shopping after insecurity, streaming platforms after loneliness, endless scrolling after emotional exhaustion. Modern life continuously sells temporary relief instead of permanent peace. That's why people keep consuming more while feeling emotionally worse. The purchases were never solving the actual problem. The problem was deeper. Burnout, isolation, lack of meaning, fear of irrelevance, fear that maybe all this hard work still isn't enough, and that fear follows people everywhere now, into elevators, into offices, into bedrooms, into relationships, especially in expensive cities. Cities became emotional pressure chambers, tiny apartments costing enormous amounts of money, endless noise, endless movement, endless competition. Glass towers glowing all night while exhausted workers stare blankly at spreadsheets under fluorescent lighting. Entire generations paying premium prices just to exist near economic opportunity. Survival itself became expensive, and still, people keep running, because stopping feels dangerous. That's the cruel genius of the middle-class trap. Once your lifestyle expands, your freedom shrinks. The better apartment creates higher monthly obligations, the financed car creates dependence, the subscriptions multiply quietly in the background. The lifestyle slowly becomes too expensive to escape. People become trapped by the very comforts they once believed symbolized success, and nobody notices while entering the trap because the process feels rewarding at first. The raise feels exciting, the upgrade feels deserved, the new environment feels motivating. But human beings adapt frighteningly fast. What once felt luxurious becomes normal almost immediately. Then the nervous system recalibrates. Now the upgraded lifestyle no longer feels exciting, it feels necessary. Losing it suddenly feels terrifying. That's when work changes psychologically. It stops feeling like ambition and starts feeling like survival. People stay in jobs destroying their mental health because the rent depends on it, the insurance depends on it, the car payment depends on it. Entire lives become financially engineered around uninterrupted income. Missing one paycheck suddenly feels catastrophic, not because people are irresponsible, but because modern life removed nearly all margin for error, and the body keeps score of this constant pressure. Sleep becomes lighter, patience becomes thinner, attention spans collapse, joy becomes harder to access. Human nervous systems were never designed for permanent stimulation, permanent comparison, and permanent economic anxiety all at once. But modern society normalized all three simultaneously. So now millions live in low-grade survival mode every single day without even realizing it. And eventually, people become emotionally numb. That's the part nobody prepares you for, not dramatic collapse, quiet numbness. The kind where weekends become recovery periods instead of actual living. The kind where people stare at screens for hours because they're too mentally exhausted to engage with reality anymore. The kind where adults secretly fantasize about disappearing for a month just to finally hear their own thoughts again. Because underneath all the noise, many people already know something is wrong. They just don't know how to escape it. But there is a way out, and it doesn't begin with becoming richer. It begins with seeing the system clearly for the first time, realizing that many desires were manufactured, realizing that algorithms are designed to amplify insecurity because insecurity increases engagement, realizing that modern culture profits when human beings feel inadequate. Once people understand that, something starts changing psychologically, slowly, quietly. They stop needing constant upgrades. They stop performing success online for strangers. They stop confusing attention with happiness. Consumption loses some of its emotional control over them, and for the first time in years, breathing becomes easier. Because real freedom looks very different than people imagined. It's not endless luxury. It's not public status. It's not proving superiority online. Real freedom is emotional stability, time ownership, deep sleep, a calm nervous system, the ability to walk away from environments destroying your peace, the ability to exist without constantly needing external validation to feel worthy. But modern society rarely celebrates that kind of freedom, because peaceful people are difficult to monetize, difficult to manipulate, difficult to keep insecure. And maybe that's why so many people secretly feel trapped despite doing everything society told them to do correctly. Study hard, work harder, earn more, upgrade your lifestyle, keep climbing, keep proving yourself, keep consuming, keep running. But the finish line keeps moving, the pressure keeps growing, and eventually people wake up realizing they spent years chasing a version of success that never actually made them feel alive. Maybe that's the real middle-class trap. Not poverty, not laziness, not failure, but becoming successful enough to look stable, while quietly losing ownership over your own mind, time, and emotional peace. Because the system never needed chains, only convenience, only comparison, only endless desire. And maybe freedom begins the moment people stop asking, "How successful do I look?" and finally start asking, "Why does my life feel so heavy all the time?" Because deep down, they already know the answer.